Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Kerfuffle webinar. I am delighted to have Luke and Ross on today from Just Move In. How the devil are you, gentlemen?
Very well, thank you, Simon. How are you?
Good, yes. 16 days to haircut, so it's all looking all on the road back to recovery.
I'm loving your pink background as well to start the day off. That's nice.
I know. Try ignoring that, interweb. We don't do that. Guys, we're going to hear today, first of all, fantastic for getting involved with us. You've been really engaged on the platform, getting some fantastic reviews, which will come back there. I know you, but we're going to treat this today as a getting to know you exercise for anyone that doesn't. So this is my excuse when I ask really stupid questions. I can say, but we want to understand everything about you. We are talking about Just Move In launching your digital referencing here, but we're going to recap on everything that you do, if that's okay, just so that there's a nice placeholder. So I think, could you just give us just the briefest of introductions then, Ross, just in terms of obviously, just give us an overview of Just Move In.
Yeah, sure. So Just Move In, we describe it as the home move platform, and really we exist to remove the stress and hassle of moving for buyers, sellers and renters. We work on both sides, which is quite unusual, I think, for the industry that we operate in. And there are three product categories really for us. So there's the home setup, which helps people move house, and we manage move-ins, move-outs, on sales and lets. And then there's utility management, which helps agencies with change of occupancy notifications. And we've developed lots of integrations with various industry bodies to enable us to do that in a really efficient way. And we're processing tens of thousands of notifications every single month now. And then tenant referencing, which is the product we're probably going to focus on a little bit more today than the others, but it's a new digital tenant referencing solution which integrates really nicely with the other two products, and agencies can effectively pick and choose which components of our service they want to work with us on.
And that's really important, isn't it? So thanks for the overview there, because actually agents just increasingly, we know this from our own consultancy and research, one of the key things they want from their suppliers is, look, they actually want kind of less of them. They want to have fewer but better relationships, don't they? So they can double down on those relationships, invest in them and get more back without having sporadic 20 or 30 different suppliers that they've got to manage.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we've built the system in a way that is modular. So if an agency wants to use our system or work with us for all of the products that we have, that's great. But if they want to work with other providers and use our for specific components, that's also fine. So I think in the world of prop tech, and it's a phrase that I don't use too much, but I think in the world of prop tech, working with other providers who are doing specific things really well, and if we can plug alongside that, then fantastic.
That was the dream of prop tech, wasn't it? Really, was, you know, that it was that interoperability, if that is a word, if I haven't mangled. You know, to deliver on that is where, well, we know the CRM companies are, I think, stepping up to the plate, aren't they? They're getting much better. I was on an ICG call yesterday, and they asked me, where do we see a estate agency in 10 years? And I just said, it's a prop tech utopia. Everything's just working perfectly together. You know, it's not one system to rule them all, is it? Again, being a bit of a geek, but what it is you can use various best-in-class providers, but there is no need then for double entry and everything else to make that work for the team.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for us, we've had agencies who asked us if we could go and build a referencing product, and that's ultimately why we did. But some companies are completely happy with their referencing providers, and that's great. And if we can plug our home setup and utility management tool into that, then great. And that's something that we're working on at the moment.
Yeah, and play the long game. Play the long. We'll get you in the end. Prove it works in the other area. I know this.
Your words not mine, Simon. Your words not mine.
Sorry, I have to do my Dr. Evil thing there every now and again. And look, just to set it up, you have got some fantastic marquee clients, haven't you? I mean, I'm just looking before Knight Frank, Paramount. So I always mean this in the nicest way. They're bloody high maintenance. So for you to be delivering for those sorts of companies is a real thumbs up, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, and we've been lucky to work with a pretty broad range of clients, but yeah, not name dropping, but Stratton Parker is one of our longest serving clients, the premium end of the market. We've just gone live with Acorn Group, which is a big agency group to go live with, and then Finders Keepers as well, part of Countrywide, which is another really nice lettings agency business. And I think for all of them, again, we really enjoy working with those agencies. They're run by really smart people, and we have a great relationship with them.
And what's interesting there, though, and why it's relevant to anyone, whether you're one office or 40, is there are some providers that do, they have quite good, if you like, boutique offerings, but then they struggle to scale, don't they? So that is actually, we always encourage people to make sure that you have, they have other clients in their client base who are the same as you, so that it's broadly comparable.
Yeah, I think for us, we've been carefully growing over the last 5 years. We actually launched in 2015, but really from a marketing perspective, we haven't really done anything up until, well, the last year actually. We relaunched the brand as Just Move In. It was always Just Move In, but refreshed it, let's say, in the beginning of last year. And it was the week that COVID hit. So we started, we always grand plans.
Thank you, gods of it.
Yeah, like, are you kidding me? And then we had to stop. So pretty much we've just started all that again this year, which is really exciting, and hence why we're on your show. So yeah, no, it's been nice to scale at a sensible pace, and now we're kind of going into a real growth area, which is fantastic.
First of all, thank you for calling it a show.
You're welcome.
I don't know where you got that from. And yeah, don't speak so morbidly. And now we're on your show. Oh God. So give us so referencing is obviously the key element you want to talk about here today. Obviously, that's quite a crowded marketplace, isn't it? So give us some ideas about the key features of that you feel are going to make you stand out from the crowd, as just over my shoulder, obviously making sense of the noise is alluding to. How do you get people's attention on that front?
Sure, Luke, I'll hand over to you.
Jump in.
It's your best.
I mean, you're right. It's a crowded marketplace. I guess we're in a slightly unique position. My background is in lettings. I spent about a decade managing a large portfolio of properties for a lettings agency. And when Just Move In approached me and said, we're looking to develop a tenant referencing product. I was acutely aware, I guess, of the limitations and frustrations of existing referencing platforms that are out there, having used them for 10 years. And whether that be from, confusing application processes for the tenants, a lack of robustness to the checks that are being carried out, or even just simply how time consuming it can be for chasing updates. All of that was very apparent to me. And I guess using that knowledge and experience, we wanted to be able to develop a referencing solution that would resolve many of those issues for both applicants and agents. And I guess at the same time, we were also aware that the fee ban that came in a couple of years ago, you've got agents out there that were looking for ways to cut costs because they were no longer able to sort of recoup those costs from tenants. But also they didn't want to sacrifice the service that they were receiving. And equally at the same time, they wanted ways to generate new revenue, if you like. And with our existing home setup service and the utility management side of the business already being very successful and established in the marketplace, we already had half of that equation covered, if you like. We just needed to be able to develop a suitably robust and comprehensive referencing product that would then join those two sides of the journey to really offer an end-to-end service for both applicants and agents. And we think we've got there. So, in terms of what the key points are to our referencing product, you've got a lot of traditional referencing agencies that exist in the marketplace, which, I mean, they sort of operate in a very similar way to a call center. You have a referencing advisor, the application comes into them, and that sort of human, if you like, processes that reference. We wanted to create a digital solution whereby the software actually replicates that decision-making process of the human advisor. And we've done that, and also developed a very comprehensive dashboard for the agent to be able to manage and have complete visibility of that progress right the way through the journey. So I guess that's number one. The other side of it is it's not just agents, it's applicants that have always been frustrated with the sort of dealing with referencing companies.
Yeah.
It's, the application process itself is, I mean, traditionally it was paper forms, and you had to print those off and then fill them in. Then they had to drop them into the office or post them, etc. It's got slightly better over the last few years that you've got more and more online applications, but even those are very poorly thought out. They're time consuming, they can be confusing. So one of the things that we wanted to do with ours was completely optimize our tenant application journey for use on mobile or tablets, etc., meaning they can fill the information out on the go. They can simply upload documents to support their application just by flicking the camera open on their device. They can even save and come back to it at a later date. So if they're sat on the bus on the way to work, perhaps maybe not so much in the last year, but hopefully moving forward, they can do half of the application, go to work, pick up the documents they need, and then come back to it at a later date. So that both of those journeys, the usability side from agents and applicants was really, really important to us. And I guess coming from an agency background, as I said, we know where those sort of pain points are, if you like, for both those sides.
That's really good, isn't it, to have it from the coalface experience like that, and especially, if you're coming into something, an existing offering as well, sometimes it's quite hard to make changes that you need to because you've already got an established client base. So to be able to come in and almost redefine it is very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, but starting from a fresh starting point, if you like, it meant that we could develop the question set as we wanted to, have the flow of that journey of for the applicant actually make sense, rather than it being, oh, well, that's how it was 5 years ago, and now agents want more questions, so we kind of just dotted bits in around it. The process it's a 9-step near enough application process for the tenant, and that gives the agent everything that they need to know. So yeah, I mean, you can, as an applicant, if you had everything to hand, you could probably do it in about 3 or 4 minutes. Appreciate it may take some a little bit longer, but for all intents and purposes, it is very straightforward for them, and that in turn not only means that the journey for them is a relatively pleasant experience, but also the agent gets the required information sort of first time of asking, so they don't then have the added task of having to chase additional bits of information that perhaps the tenant has missed on their original application.
And that's great, because that technical underpinning of the whole thing gives you the efficiency that allows you to drive the great price point as well. So this is I know you as a business very well. You pride yourself on customer service, and that comes through on reviews, not just on our platform, but everywhere you're across. So because sometimes, of course, if people just don't immediately identify, a really cost-effective price point, which £7 clearly is, but they will just be thinking, oh, this is going to be a really, really basic kind of, and they probably don't care about it. And that's really important to get across, that that's just not the case with what you're trying to do, is it?
No, absolutely. I mean, we knew we had to, as an absolute bare minimum, we couldn't have sort of checks that were any less robust than the sort of the best providers out there currently. So yeah, we do full AML checks as well as sort of standard credit checks. We have full reference requests for previous landlords, employer, income sources, accountants, etc., whatever their employment sort of situation is. So we can certainly tick all the boxes in terms of the checks that we're carrying out. We've added a few nice little features in. We've got something that we call our suitability checks, which in plain English,
I failed that.
I guess plain English, it's a pre-screening feature, and that can be used in a couple of ways. It was designed originally around if an agent has done multiple viewings of the same property and perhaps has 2, 3, 4 different parties that are interested in renting it. It could be used as an initial sort of offer stage, if you like. So, they can send out a link for the applicant that is interested in putting an offer forward for that property to complete this suitability check. There's a set amount of questions that will then enable that agent to have an informed conversation with the landlord of the property before they then have to pay for a full reference. The suitability checks are free. But we've also realized that it could be used as a pre-screening prior to viewing. So, when applicants phone up to book a viewing for the property, the agent could send the suitability check link to them. They can complete that. And then on the back of that information, the agent's able to book them in for a viewing appointment of the property. So again, you can save so much time for tenants that just simply aren't suitable for a property because, for any reason, maybe they have pets, maybe there's too many of them, perhaps they have some adverse credit, maybe their income isn't enough.
But before they get too far down it, where they're going to be left with resentful feelings as well.
Exactly. And it's, it just keeps everything very, very clean and straightforward. And as I say, it's the dashboard that I mentioned earlier. You can manage all of these suitability checks. You could have multiple, applicants sat there for a week. If you've got a landlord that says, no, I'm still not happy, but I quite like the look of them, but could you keep it advertised for another week? Yeah, absolutely. You can keep those people in the dashboard. You can add other applicants to it while it still sits there. So, it's a nice little feature, I think, in this sort of day and age of everyone not having enough hours in the day. The one thing you don't want to be doing as an agent is, spending half an hour getting to a property to show someone around that just simply isn't going to be right for it.
It's that absolute definition of bad busy, isn't it? There's loads of agencies out there that are busy from dawn till dusk, but they're not using the right tools for the job, are they? That actually is delivering productivity, and that this suitability sounds absolutely on the money for that requirement.
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, so I mean that's part of the product, as I say. I mentioned earlier, it was a free bit of the product. And
Luke, just on that, the other benefit as well is it will show the seriousness of intent, won't it, from anyone that is going to do it as well. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's very easy to, as a sort of a potential applicant, very easy to pick the phone up and book in and just go and have a look around a house. If you've got to do something more than that, and you've actually got to provide some information, as you say, it's there's the question set that we ask is, I guess it sort of borders on, if you're not a serious applicant, then you wouldn't be prepared to give some of those answers. Is probably the best way of putting it, because if you're a serious applicant, then you're going to have to go through a full referencing process anyway. So in theory, you wouldn't sort of blink at having to provide some of these answers at this stage.
Exactly. That's good.
So yeah, so the referencing itself, we obviously have a result delivery system with final reports which are downloadable at the end of the process. One of the key things that we wanted to bring in there was, I mentioned earlier that we ask applicants to sort of upload various supporting documents as part of their application, and that the obvious ID is one, but proof of address, proof of income, pay slips, and anything else that they may have that would support that application, which is all traditionally things that agents would ask for as part of this process. However, what they would have had to have done, or they still have to do without our product, is have the applicant bring those in or send them to them, or they may have to take a photocopy of them, and then they've got a big paper file full of various bits of information. But with ours, the downloadable final report that the agent sees has all of these uploaded documents included in it in one PDF. So if there's multiple tenants, there's just one PDF, all of that information. All the agent's got to do is download it and pop it in the property file on the computer, and it's there. So we're saving printing costs, paper, etc., and again time of having to do it. So because the applicant is prompted to upload all of those documents into it. And then we've also got document verification and remote identity, which will be coming into it very, very soon. That again is sort of the next layer of security, if you like, for ID verification. That yes, we ask for an ID copy to be uploaded to the platform, but we're then going to be able to automate the checking of its authenticity, and then with the remote identity also be able to relate the face of the person, if you like, to the face within that ID type, which again is a nice bit of tech, and again offers added security and protection to the landlord and the agent. We will also have open banking plugged into it very, very soon, which is another layer of detail that we can see not only income but also expenditure, and we can really give a true sense of an applicant's financial position at that point, and not only at that point, but for the previous 12 months. You know, just because they can show that they have a good income doesn't mean to say that they're actually very good with their money, if that makes sense. Yeah. You know, if they earn £3,000 a month, but they're spending regularly more than that, then there's a question mark over whether they would be suitable to rent a property. And I think
please keep my application private, as we agreed. That's
yeah, absolutely. And I think traditional referencing is always, you know, it asks the questions that, yes, you need to know the answers to. Do they earn X amount?
Yeah.
You know, have they paid their rent? Yes, you know.
Yeah,
but
it's a bit binary, isn't it?
It is, you know, and you know, it doesn't give any detail to the agent. Just because they can show that they do earn some money, you know, it's very much a snapshot, traditional referencing. It only gives you a visibility of it at that very moment. And I always used to sort of refer to traditional referencing a little bit like when you have your MOT done on a car. You know, just it passes on the day, but next week it could, you know, you could get a punch or it could blow up or whatever may happen.
Just a tick box, though, isn't it, Luke? It's like, you know, we've done that, tick it off, and then move on without context or useful information that you can actually be, well, yeah, better informed with.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's a fairly long answer to your initial question, but
well, you did ask me how long we were going on for, but I mean, yeah, you've been busy, haven't you? So that's
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I haven't even touched. I mean, we've also built within the dashboard. We built what we call a task manager. The idea behind that is that the agent doesn't have to look at each individual reference each day. There's a task manager section which prompts them for anything that they need to do or anything that's been updated. And then we've also got the integration of the rent guarantee product into the platform, whereby suitable and eligible tenancies are able to, the agent is able to add rent guarantee on behalf of the landlord at the click of a couple of buttons. And obviously the final thing is that the entire referencing system is fully integrated with our existing home setup service. So if the agent is using both of those, there's no need to manually enter any detail into the home setup side of the business, because all of that data is pulled through from everything the tenant has already entered themselves straight into that journey.
And for busy agencies, that can really add up over the year, can't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, it's good agencies that are you know, sort of bought into the idea, if you like, with the home setup, will, you know, they'll see a real improvement, I think, from applicants that are going through our referencing journey, because they will already be warmed up, if you like, to who Just Move In are. So it just seems like a natural progression from, oh, okay, Just Move In have referenced us, and now they're going to help me move into my house as well and set me up with broadband, etc. So yeah, it just seemed the natural journey for us as a company to go tenant referencing and join the two.
That's great. And so yes, to have that, they are so complementary, aren't they? So there is, to use the rather wanky phrase again, there's a real synergy there in terms of the two parts of the business. In terms of integration, I mean, it's obviously completely standalone, but you can do everything you need to. Are you looking at third-party integrations out there as well? Is that on the roadmap? Is that there already? Do you not need it? You know, we mentioned the CRMs. Are you going to be having conversations with those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly to begin with, it's a standalone product, but yes, you know, we've got integrations, as Ross mentioned, already on the home setup side. So again, the natural progression is to do with tenant referencing.
Excellent, cool. And I mean, we've already kind of blown the price point here, but that's £7 per. Is that just completely set, or are there still volume discounts for if you're doing you know, a big volume with that?
Yeah, at present it's £7 plus VAT per reference, but yes, I mean there are always opportunities to have conversations for the higher volume.
I'm not sure how much lower you can go, though, to be honest. It's a very good price point there. So, I mean, you shouldn't be looking at losing out on cost to anyone out there at all, should you? Really?
Certainly not for the. I mean, yeah, there are cheaper options out there, but I don't think anyone's doing the level of comprehensive check and what we're offering within
No,
that.
I think if I asked them that question, you know, where we actually obviously talking about this, well, it's cheap. It's kind of, that would be their response, wouldn't it? Yeah. Okay, so you must be really. I feel like it's a bit of taking the piss a little bit, because obviously after you spent all that. But what are your plans going forwards?
So obviously we're still in sort of refinement stage, I guess. I mentioned there that we've still got a couple of new features to add into it. It's a fully working referencing platform as it is, but you know, with any software-based product, you're never finished. I don't think. You're always looking to improve further. As I say, we've got the document verification, the open banking. They're the big two that will come in the next sort of couple of months, I guess. And then yeah, we will start to hopefully scale it up in terms of the number of agents that are using it.
Yeah, well, if Google can keep beta on Gmail for 7 years, I think we're all allowed a bit of time to hone and perfect our purposes. But I think the key thing I'm getting to there is you're way beyond minimum viable project stage, aren't you? This is ready to go now. Yeah. It's ready to work. Just on that, have you trialed it with anyone? Is it literally hot out the labs, or what is the feedback, I suppose, if you are at that stage?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've been in beta testing. Oh, sorry, we did a beta testing phase from about November last year, which ran for about 2 to 3 months, I guess. And we've currently got about half a dozen agencies using it as their primary referencing solution, all of which have been part of that beta phase. So yeah, we were offered a lot of feedback over the course of that, which is exactly why you go through a beta testing phase and period. And yeah, what we've tried to do is put all of that feedback into the product. And you know, I said at the start, you know, I'm an agent, or I was an agent, and a lot of it is sort of from my brain, but I certainly don't pretend to know everything about agency. So you know, the more people that you've got putting that feedback in that are doing this day in, day out.
And that's where having those great marquee clients really works, doesn't it? Because I've always said, if you are lucky enough, competent enough to win those businesses, provided you have that ethos of listening to those clients, you're going to stay ahead of the competition just by default if they are throwing in great ideas on a weekly and monthly basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how we kind of built the platform, is a way that we can make iterations rapidly. And if there is something specific that a larger client needs or wants, it's something that can actually happen quite quickly. It's not
you're living off their coattails. But then I built a career on that, so I can't really criticize. So you've got a really, I mean, and this is true to my eye, you've got a sustainability ethos as well, haven't you? So
yeah.
So talk to us about how this, if it does, tie into that at all.
Yeah, so it's probably worth dialing back. So we, back in 2018, certified as what's known as a B Corporation. It's not something that's massively known within the industry.
Oh, I was going to pretend I knew, but
there aren't many B Corps out there. Although there are a massively growing number. I think we're now at around 4,000 globally and around 400, I think, in the UK. But effectively, what B Corp is, and the way to think of it is the equivalent of a fair trade coffee stamp, but for a business.
Okay,
it's something we're really passionate about, and it influences a lot of the decisions that we make as a company. And B Corp really sits across 5 pillars. So you've got governance, workers, community, environment, and customers. Within that, there's lots of different things and components, 180 different criteria you have to go through as a B Corp to get your certification. And every 3 years, you have to recertify. We're actually just coming up to recertify for the first time. But to give you some examples of how that impacts what we do. So very early on, we took a view to only recommend 100% renewable suppliers to our customers. That's on the home setup side of things. We also have to publish our gender pay gap. We have to report everything that we say we are doing and how we're operating to a not-for-profit who are called B Labs, based out of the US. And then they check everything to make sure that we're actually doing what we say we're doing. And it's a really rigorous, thorough and very difficult process to go through, which is why lots of companies maybe start the process or think about it, but actually doing it is another thing.
Yeah, this isn't getting a little blue tick, is it? In terms of this is you've really thrown yourself into this, and that does, you know, what's the phrase? They call it greenwashing, don't they? There's a lot of companies that just say it to get it across there, but you are, by putting yourself through that, you're showing this flows through your belief system in the business.
Yeah, massively. And on the referencing side, I mean, there's lots of other things that we could go into around how we're operating and why that's better for agencies. But from a referencing perspective, we've taken a view that for every month an agency stays with us and is using the product, we plant an additional mangrove tree.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
And the reason why mangrove trees, we also plant a mangrove tree for every customer that we help move house. They sequester more carbon than any other on the planet.
Yeah.
And they're really good at preventing tsunamis in low-lying areas of water.
I literally just watched a documentary last night on that one. I feel
yeah, I think Attenborough talked quite a lot about them actually during his recent show. So that's a relationship we have with a company called Worldview, based down in Myanmar, and they plant those on our behalf. So yeah, back to referencing, every month an agency stays with us, we plant another one of those.
So there's a just moving mangrove swamp somewhere.
It's enormous.
That's amazing. That's brilliant. Okay, we're never going to convince the people who maybe aren't in there. But for somebody like me, if I was looking at this from a consumer point of view, I can say categorically that, you know, would you go with I know I wouldn't go with those that are blacklisted, but even, you know, if the service was vaguely comparable and I could see that those credentials there, I'm going with you every single time.
Well, I think that's the biggest difference over the last 5 years. The quality of the renewable suppliers that are coming through, they are leading the way on when it comes to customer service. So even
they're actually more efficient, aren't they? This is the point about a lot of the time.
They're cheaper, the customer service is better, they're better run businesses. And so we took that view early on. It was from an environmental point of view, but now you're not paying for the premium. It's cheaper than most of the big six suppliers, particularly as you're moving house. And so that's a really important thing for us. And we lead on customer service really as the main driver when we're speaking to a customer about why they should go with one of the products we recommend. And as a nice byproduct of that, they are also renewable. So that just is
and you're what's really good about this is, look, this is happening anyway. You know, it's not like this is just brand new, but I think it is from that wonderful thing. I always talk about it with Peter Knight about things like agents giving. You can do the right thing socially responsibly and it still be fantastic for the business. And we should never feel at all that, you know, there's some sort of conflict there or anything else. Right. We saw Guy Gittins from Chesterton's, wasn't it, really proudly talking about that they're on board. And I just think this is just, and here's the thing though, there will be a boom if you get ahead of this curve, when consumers are looking at it.
Massively. I think there's a lot of articles that have been written, and there's some massive companies, by the way, that are B Corps. So you've got brands like Innocent in the UK, Patagonia, Ben & Jerry's, globally, huge organizations. And they recognize that doing good is good for business. And so the two, it shouldn't be, you've got to choose one or the other, but having a purpose not only helps from a customer point of view because you are standing for something, but actually it's just the right thing to do. And it shouldn't really be shouting about the fact that we're trying to save the planet. It's just part of the day-to-day operations of what we do. Why wouldn't you want to do that as you go? So
you're quite right, isn't it? It's actually, it should just be business as usual. Do you not want to bugger up the planet as you do?
Literally, totally that. And that's why our brand looks like it does. It's not green. It's not overtly kind of save the planet. It's just, of course, we're trying to do the right things as we're operating, from looking after our staff and our suppliers and everybody else that we work with. But it's just about doing what's right, really.
Yeah. Well, just to show that I am just every bit as professional and efficient as Mr. Watkins, you both forgot to tell me to play the video, but I have remembered. So, because otherwise George was going to kick my proverbials. So, shall I let you two have just a little drink of coffee or something, and we'll play your. I think this is where I can't find it now. Let's just play the video that explains it a bit more. Here we go. Just share sound as well. Cool.
Hello, here's the lowdown on digital tenant referencing from Just Move In. We use the latest technology to give you the most comprehensive checks around, all for just £7 a go. Our platform is really user-friendly. From the dashboard, you can quickly see the status of any live application, as well as the actions required for each of them. Click into an application and you'll find a handy list of updates and a full breakdown of the reference details. You can also access extra services like rent guarantee insurance. Clever, eh? And to save you time and help you stay on top of your to-do list, we've built Task Manager. This tells you when to do what and makes sure your applications progress smoothly. To help you compare potential applicants without paying for a full reference, we've built our suitability check feature to provide a free pre-screening service. Once reviewed, a single click takes the successful applicant into the full referencing journey. A simple traffic light system tells you how suitable a candidate is. It's based on the deepest data, including full anti-money laundering and credit checks, on top of the usual landlord and employer digging. You can find all of that and more by downloading our detailed final reports, with a separate summary report also available to be shared with your landlords. And if you want an even clearer picture, we'll soon be introducing open banking, so you'll not only see the applicant's income, but also their spending habits. For your tenants, the application journey is mobile optimized with an intuitive design, making it super simple to complete from any device in minutes. They can easily upload documents directly to the platform by taking photos on their phone. And finally, our tenant referencing platform integrates seamlessly with our #1 rated home setup and utility management service, which helps save you time, enhances your customer relationships, and creates new revenue streams. It couldn't be simpler. To find out more about digital referencing from Just Move In, visit justmovein.com/referencing.
Fantastic. Well, what comes across there straight away is the simplicity. You can find your way around that. Just it's clear with a number of seconds. You've done a really good job with keeping that as the UI as clean as that is.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's been largely led by Luke in terms of just trying to make sure that, as you said, what we're doing is super simple, very easy to use. Anybody can come into there and understand what we need to do, where we need to go, and how it works. And within each of the journeys that you then take, again, it's very, very simple. And that was something that was very much at the start of what we wanted to build, which was a really easy to use platform.
And it's funny that, isn't it? Involving people who are involved in the experience from the other side yields real results.
It works.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? So let's just have a look here, gents. So as long as I can get this working. So obviously go have a look at there's loads of reviews on there, seeing them all from named individuals, never anonymized. Go and see what they have to say about the service down here. Absolutely fantastic there. And it comes through that customer service ethos just time and time again, that you're really thinking about it and trying to work with people. So I love that. And that's, by the way, that's just not our platform. I know you're on a variety, and it's good to see, because that isn't true of many other either utilities handlers or indeed tenant referencing. So there is a very varied degree of service out there. But then just taking it back to the top as well, what I love about this is, thank you guys, you've done a fantastic deal there for our kerfufflers there. You've actually boosted their ability to earn commission as well, haven't you? So this is they should have a chat with you about what you can do outside of obviously your normal terms. You've also given them the ability to get 30 days of free referencing as well. New clients only, the normal caveat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I mean, the commission side of things is specifically on the home setup side of what we do.
Of course.
We haven't really gone to massive amounts of detail about that, but we work with agencies both on the letting side and the sales side of that. So if they've got a sales agency and they'd like to layer on the home setup for their customers, whether they're buying or selling properties, we can also help them. And how that service is delivered, just to give you a quick overview, we're not just randomly cold calling somebody and trying to sell them an energy deal. It's very much bedded into the user journey of that agency's experience. So at the point where they pass referencing, whether that's with us or somebody else, or they've got to exchange on the sales side, we get introduced to that customer and then send out a co-branded communication to them, which has the agency's name on it. And then you as the customer who's moving can book an appointment with one of our team. So it's a really official process. They book the appointment, they can schedule time that works for them to speak to us. And then we go through a number of services on the phone call with the customer, and they can pick and choose which services they want our help with. But ahead of the actual call with their move specialist, we will do a number of lookups against the property, so we can check the incumbent energy providers, because we plug into the national energy database. We plug into the water and sewage industry as well, so we can pull out that information, as well as identifying which council provider they're with in that particular property. Then we can also look at the broadband speeds available, and if they're in a block, whether it's a different provider, it might be something like Hyperoptic as an example, and also the insurance risk. So we are directly regulated by the FCA ourselves as a business, and so we can give somebody a really comprehensive experience managing all of their move in and move out data. Really important that we do both, not just making money from the move ins, we also manage the move out, which is really key for agencies when it comes to utility management. And then they can pick and choose which components they want, and that is how the service is currently delivered. It's also worth noting that we have one person on our end who's managing all the services for that mover, rather than being passed from different people internally, maybe somebody to do insurance, somebody else to do broadband. It's one move specialist to do all of those services. And we've got a really exciting development on the home setup that's launching over the next month or so, which can't really announce yet, but maybe we can do another session on that with you, Whaley.
You tease.
We can go through that then, but yeah, lots of exciting stuff happening on that side of things.
Sounds really good. Sounds really interesting. And the first thing is obviously pick up the phone, have a conversation with you. So guys, if you want to get in contact on every landing page, just click I'm interested and it'll go through to Ross or Luke, or they can reach out to your normal place. And just give us your domain again, guys. What's your website address?
It's justmovein.com.
There you are, even better. Okay, well, that's absolutely fantastic. So if I was just to kind of summarize the kind of takeaways here, then your new tenant referencing product will streamline their agents referencing process, and it's only £7 a go, but that's not giving up on any of the customer service elements there. It's been a long time in development, not least with Luke's obviously knowledge of the industry itself from the coalface. That's point one. By tapping into as well, just Moving's full suite of services, you can save time, money, and improve and enhance your brand's reputation. And lastly, you're passionate about suitability. Suitability, that will go back to me. Go back to sustainability. And that can only help support their agency partners' environmental credentials as well, isn't it? Which is a vital point going forwards.
Yeah, and a lot of agencies, we haven't touched on this, but a lot of our agencies now are actually using the commission which they generate from the home setup service to actually donate that to charitable causes.
Nice.
If there's a foundation or a local charity or something that they're passionate about, that then becomes a really interesting mechanism for them to generate additional PR and goodwill from their customers, but also internally from a staff perspective. And we know that agents are great at supporting charities. That's
very good.
Very well known from the industry. So if there is a charity they support, we can definitely help facilitate that, and we can then process the payments directly to those charities. And we know it's something that a lot of agencies are going to start doing. And I think over the course of this year, as we roll out with more and more, that'll become more of a default position for those agencies.
Fantastic. Well, I think we need to have a kind of a charity panel show as well. I would love to get you on and talk about that. So it sounds like you're really on the ahead of the curve and on the money on that point. Gents, absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for taking the time. And I know a lot more about you guys, obviously knew from it. Best of luck with the launch and everything else, the continued rollout there. And I think it'd be lovely over one of the future shows. Let's get a few clients on as well and get their feedback from how they see you guys.
Amazing. Sounds great.
Okay, thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers, Simon. Thanks.
Cheers. Bye.